things going to happen in this coming hours. So the first presentation, I would like to introduce Mirwat Shamshad from, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, from Pakistan. And she's from the Beacon House school system from Pakistan. Her initiative is, her presentation is on rethinking and reimagining science, STEM activities for girls. And if I'm not wrong, it's quite an impressive abstract shared by you. So I was quite impressed to see the data inside it. So this initiative started while she was teaching physics to high school girls, and these girls were really interested in STEM-based activities, right? So over to you, Mirwat. I would like you to share your activities and looking forward to it.
Thank you, Kathan. Thank you for such a nice introduction. And I would like to say hello to all. And as introduced by Kathan, that I am Mirwat from Pakistan, and I teach physics to high school girls. And I'll just here share my, sorry for that. Okay, here. I'll start sharing once again.
Mirwat, we would be having almost about 20 minutes. You might want to leave like last 3 to 5 minutes for question answers.
All right, Kathan.
So
okay. All right, guys. Hello to everyone once again. And this is me, Mirwat, from Islamabad, Pakistan. And today I present to you my story that revolves around presenting thinking and reimaging science for myself. And in doing so, how I am making my bit count towards a STEM future for girls in my part of the world. And here I would like to share the vision of Dr. Abdus Salam that scientific thought and its creation is the common and the shared heritage of a mankind. And this basically translates that knowledge of a science sees no boundaries, no color, no race, and no gender. As I recall that in my own school days and even today, I found that science is taught in my country in the most orthodox way, which makes learning STEM least excited to pursue it as a career. And this excruciating pain of not doing science for what it really is set me on a very different trajectory. And this is me here with my first batch of students, and we did some very basic projects like making a camera, making a lemon battery with very basic resources available at hand. And we pitched our show in front of the school. The girls, for the first time, were practically doing physics, and they were super excited. And it's not only the girls, but you can even see the teaching staff who were curious to know what's going on around. And as I always wanted to make my students to see themselves for what they really are, so I invited over one of my favorite professor, Dr. Parvez Hoodboy, who gave a talk on why the girls should choose a career or a STEM as a career. So here is a short video clip of that event that I would like to share.
University, and you have a career in front of you. And look, it's very important for girls. There's a concept in our society that girls are, well, all right, they ought to get educated, but basically they have to become good wives. No. always become. You can become just as good a doctor, a scientist, a painter, a poet, a musician, a whatever. And you have to live your own independent life.
And here I would like to stop this video clip. Although it's not a very good quality video, but I think that the girls' excitement is unmistakable. They want a different future. And this wave of excitement that very day has motivated me to do more, to help them to craft and envision their own future. And then I went on to set up a culture of active learning by engaging students to do hands-on science. And here are the glimpses of an exciting physics fest that we had at school, and the girls from different grades, they participated in this first ever science exhibition. And over 30 projects were presented. All were made with very basic resources available at hand. And yes, we never forgot to invite the boys over. And alongside with the projects, the students had prepared a talk on gravitational waves. We also had a solar observation, along with the talk on sun and the coronal ejections. And thus the STEM spirit has made its way at an international platform where one of my student project on future cities won a gold medal in a science convention at Oman. So moving on, the hands-on activities and active learning is a domain that I had tried out frequently with my students. And I just undertook a 3-day workshop in active learning in optics for my students. And this is a workshop tailored on a UNESCO approved curriculum. Well, astronomy has always been at my heart, and I started looking around for all possible venues to explore this domain of science. And I came across an amateur astronomical society in Pakistan who came from over 400-kilometer distance to conduct a solar observation session. And this was a very first experience for many of my students. As you can see that the girls were very excited. They all lined up aesthetically to see and view the solar surface with the hydrogen alpha telescope. And this is a solar observation arranged in the year 2017. And the girls were again very excited to see these sunspots. And once again, we never forgot to invite the boys over. Well, apart from the solar observations, star parties also remained on the menu. And for many girls having no access to a telescope and very few astronomical societies around, this is more like a dream. So the excitement of actually viewing the rings of the Saturn or the craters of the moon or the moons of the Jupiter is something I only witnessed when we invited a group of Islamabad-based amateur astronomers to come over to our school. So this is another solar observation, and that was conducted during the World Space Week celebrations, and it was arranged for lower secondary to high school students. So in order to create astronomy awareness to a wider audience, an educational outreach program, Introduction to Astronomy, was conducted in the year 2018 at Sky School System, Islamabad. This school is an orphanage for underprivileged children, both boys and girls, who lost a parent during war on terror in the tribal areas of Pakistan. And it was a 4-week-long course in which my students also participated as volunteers, and the students also attended a solar observation and a mini symposium at the National Center for Physics. And this is me over here, and this is a sequel of a lecture that was conducted during this very project. And the most exciting part is that we utilize the Harvard-Smithsonian Micro-Observatory Robotic Telescope to introduce students to astroimaging. And here you can see that the students doing real-time image processing lab. And later, they also showcase their processed images in an astrophotography exhibition. And here are some of the processed images along with the names of the student who processed these images. Then in order to create awareness of a space among my students, we celebrated the World Space Week, and that is a United Nations chartered event. And this again appeared to be the first ever in the school. And here, there were guest talks, solar observation, student poster competitions, and students' presentations on the theme, Space Unites the World. And this is a sneak peek on the poster presented during the event. And these are all hand-drawn and some electronic e-posters. Well, then in order to introduce the Nobel Prize Physics to my students, I collaborate with research institutes and scientific community. And in 2017, when the Nobel Prize was awarded on detectation of the gravitational waves, I invited an astrophysicist to introduce girls to the gravitational waves astronomy. And also to introduce students with Frontiers of Physics, a seminar was arranged to build up the basic understanding of standard model of particle physics and dark matter and dark energy. And here in the quest for rethinking and reimaging a future for my girls, I collaborate with the Premium Research Institution, that is National Center for Physics, Islamabad. And I took my students to attend a session on a public lecture by Mr. Mansoor Ahmed, who is an associate director, NASA Astrophysics Department that time, where he discussed how our knowledge has expanded via space-based astronomy with observatories such as a Hubble Space Telescope, and from space missions to space explorations. And I think I had always believed to make learning a fun. And nothing could beat the learning value when it comes to visit places where the real application of a physics is happening in real time. So I took my students to visit a hydropower project and an aeronautical complex. And we also ran the membership campaign for Royal Aeronautical Society, and the whole school participated in this activity. And yes, here comes the international collaboration. I collaborated with two international teachers, one from Serbia and the other from UK, to have a physics pen pals educational exchange program. And it is an initiative where physics students learn the best practices in physics classes by making physics pen pals and sharing postcards. Then to keep the spirit high during the lockdown, once schools were closed due to COVID-19, I conducted different online projects. And one of the most exciting venture was laboratory for the study of exoplanets. And this is a Harvard-Smithsonian Astrophysics Department project. It was registered as one of the activities for celebrating International Day of Light 2020. And it was exciting for me and my student as we were going on a journey to hunt for exoplanet orbiting its host star away from our own solar system. And we have used a transit method to trace that exoplanet. So basically this project consists of 4 mini labs with each having a key message and scientific skill to learn. And these I would be discussing one by one. So the first lab which we worked on is the modeling lab. And this lab basically aims to introduce the students with the scientific research approach, that is making predictions using models. Students have learned to make graphical predictions and verbal explanations. We are setting the lab on predict mode. And this is one of the work on the modeling lab of one of my students where they have predicted a graph, and here they have made some hypotheses, predicted some hypotheses. Then the second lab we worked on is the telescope control. And on the night of 18 May 2020, the students used the 6-inch telescope, which is located at the Wimple Observatory, to make a series of images of HAT P3b, a target star system in Ursa Major constellation. And these images form the basis of their further investigations. Then the third lab in this project is the image lab. And this lab is divided into 2 parts. In the first part, the students worked as the light detectives, where they process the images and have identified the target and the 2 comparison stars, where the relative brightness of the target star was then plotted as the light curve to see and detect the dip in the star's brightness that indicates the transiting planet. And this is our class graph. And the second part of the same lab, that is the image lab, is where the students have worked as the data detectives. They just analyzed the plot that was obtained as a result of their working in part one. And while working on this part of the lab, they found out the factors which could be a potential reason for the dispersed or the scattered point in their data. And students have analyzed their plots in component analysis and altitude graph to identify the factors causing measurement errors. So this is the one here is a component and the altitude graph. Then the fourth lab in this project we have worked on is the data lab. And this data lab has provided the students with a platform to analyze and interpret the data and to collect the evidences from obtained results to find out the different features of their detected exoplanet. So students first started with inspecting the data to detect any signal of the transiting planet from the data they have obtained. And as a preliminary step, the students fitted a curve to a plotted data. So this is the curve fitting on this plotted data that we have obtained. And then they compare their estimated dip in the graph with other schools' data for the same planet and with the astronomers' prediction to be more confident about their findings. And after that, we were very happy because our obtained data was in correlation with the one that is predicted by the astronomers' data, as can be seen here in the tinted region. So, on the left in this slide is the class data where the students use a tool for best curve fitting. And this transit model has provided them with the information about the size, transit time, tilt of the planet axis, and its distance from the host star. Well, the best part of this project is that the students' work is published on their website, and each student's lab work is available in the journal. And to inspire and encourage the role of females in STEM domain, I arranged a virtual meetup with Dr. Sona Hosseini, who is a research and instrument scientist at Planetary Science Division, Jet Propulsion Laboratory, NASA. And this is an interdisciplinary activity, which is a poster competition. And it was aligned with International Day of Light celebration and was conducted where students communicated the science of light through art. And this activity was published on IDL 2020 newsletter. Well, here I would say that for promoting STEM, I keep myself updated on the cutting edge research. And I had a vision to be a beacon of a hope for my girls in my part of the world to pursue a career in science domain. And here I thank you all.
Thanks, Mirwat, for the wonderful presentation. And we really can see your passion for being involved with your students. So if there are any questions, we still have not got a lot of questions.
Can I make a question?
Yeah, Rosa.
So Mirwat, I'm so impressed. Such a nice work, and I just didn't get very well. Your students were getting the data with the micro observatory. Is that correct? They're taking the different points with the micro observatory telescope.
If I get your question right, you're talking about the micro observatory?
Yes, the light to obtain the light curve for the transiting planet.
They have actually accessed that remote telescope at Whipple Observatory, Arizona, and students have to make a request for the target image that is up in the night sky that very day. And yes, after putting up a request on that telescope, we have received the images, and then the students have individually worked on each and every image to get the data.
And how many hours you have to work with those students? What is the time that you have allocated to work with those students?
Particularly for this telescope lab, if you're talking about, or the whole project?
The whole project, the whole project.
Basically, this project can last for like 10 to 15 days. But as I have taken this project on an online platform, and so it took me roughly 3 to 4 weeks, almost a month, you can say, because we have to align the timings because it's all online. I have to wait at times for my students to come and join so that we can all work together at the same time. So roughly it could be done in 10 to 15, but for me, it lasts for 3 to 4 weeks, yes.
But you do this as a formal part of the curriculum that you are delivering to those girls, or is it astronomy club?
That's a bad, sad demise that it is not conducted as a part of our curriculum, and it was conducted apart from the curriculum. I mean, we have taken some extra time or hours apart from school hours, and then we have conducted this very activity.
I'm so impressed, really. What's such a nice example. I'm going to use it. It's just where there's a will, there's a way. Fantastic work. Congratulations to you.
Julio, question.
Yes.
Hello, thank you. Wonderful presentation. Congratulations for that. I have a question and then a comment, if I may. First, the question. When your students work with this exoplanetary data, well, amazing simulations and all the stuff, they do, I was not able to hear this. They do publish their work or whatever analysis they take using the micro-observatory images. Do they publish, or do you publish your observations? Do you share them with the astronomical community, or no? It's just for the classroom only?
As this is conducted just very recently in the month of May and June, and we are in a lockdown situation. And yes, it is not communicated to a wider audience or in the community, but yes, for now it is published on the very website of this project. And later, yes, I'll plan to project this work to a wider community. But for now, no, it was just conducted for my own group of students.
Okay.
Because of the constraints of the lockdowns and all that, so.
Okay, so I will chat to you, or I will send to Gustavo and Rosa an information that you may like to use in your classroom. It's something I'm going to talk in my presentation, but it's in Spanish. Your students can actually publish your analysis to an astronomical database and make actual scientific research with this, with all the things you are doing right now. So your students can also publish to an astronomical database. So I will send information to you via Rosa or Gustavo, so we can discuss this later, okay? And congratulations, excellent job you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mirwat.